I'm James Early and this is CustomF1, the YouTube series based on the old game F1 Challenge, where I create my own Formula 1 team and take it from back marker to championship glory. The whole world is simulated, including dynamic driver and team transfers and changes, a whole simulated economy, and you can even create your own driver to potentially enter into the world. Welcome to CustomF1. Today we have the opening round of the season. It's the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's take a look at the news. Pre-season testing showed that McLaren have built a car that is possibly capable of challenging Benetton. Williams seem to have fallen behind Benetton during pre-season, and it's unclear whereabouts Ferrari are in the pecking order. Speaking of Ferrari, Streamline Engineering have struck a deal with the Italian outfit. Ferrari gains control of Streamline Engineering's second driver seat, and in exchange, Streamline get use of brand new Ferrari engines. And if pre-season is anything to go by, that engine is very impressive. We also have a new entry onto the grid this season in the form of 40. Yet another Italian team is here to grace Formula 1 with a rookie driver pairing of Riccardo Rosset and Vincenzo Sospiri. With 30 drivers entering qualifying, the fastest 26 will make it onto the grid on Sunday. Qualifying is next. And here we are, riding on board with the streamline of Mika Salo. It's the first round of the 1995 season, it's the Brazilian Grand Prix, and this is qualifying. We're riding on board with Salo as we always do, as he almost loses it into the first corner. This is of course on board during his fastest lap in qualifying. This was with about 20 minutes left in qualifying. As we've seen in the news section before qualifying, there's 30 cars on the grid, and that means the top 26 make it through to the actual race on Sunday. That means the bottom 4 in this qualifying session will be eliminated, and let's hope it's not the streamline. At the moment, Mika Salo is up in 14th place, which is very impressive, but this Streamline Engineering car, although it hasn't had much improvement to the actual chassis, it's a B-spec car of the 1994 one they ran last season. The Ferrari engine is so powerful, and Streamline Engineering's Kaya Mahendra, well, he was Streamline Engineering last season, has moved over to Sauber, and whilst Zomba Reith has been loaned from Ferrari to Streamline Engineering for at least this season. So Mika Salo and Zomba Reith is the new driver lineup at Streamline, as Salo once again goes deep into the corner, almost completely missing the turn-in, missing the apex completely, but down towards the line. Is it going to be an improvement? It's going to be an improvement, but it's not going to be pole position. Michael Schumacher holds it at the moment. It's a 120.1. It's 13th place right now, but where is he on the starting grid? Michael Schumacher claims pole position for the opening round of the 1995 season, with the McLaren of Mika Hakkinen alongside him on the front row of the grid. Debutant David Coulthard, who drives Benetton, starts in 3rd place, with Martin Brundle, retained by McLaren for the 1995 season, starts down in 4th place. It's an all-Williams 3rd row, Hill ahead of reigning world champion Ayrton Senna, then an all-Ferrari 4th row, Berger returning after his terrible injury sustained at the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. He's ahead of his teammate John Alesi, and Eddie Irvine and Rubens Barrichello, the two Jordans, starting 9th and 10th. On to the next 10 on the grid. Zomba Reith on his debut for Streamline and his first full season in Formula 1. He qualifies in 11th place, with a new Sauber driver Kaya Mahendra in 12th. Mika Salo impressively up in 13th place, Olivier Panis in the lead Ligier in 14th, and Frentzen in the second Sauber down in 15th place. Lotus have found some pace through pre-season and qualify 16th and 17th place. Ukyo Katayama down in 18th, Ralf Schumacher on his debut for Footwork in 19th place, and Jos Verstappen moves from Benetton to Tyrrell and he qualifies in 20th place. On to the final 10, Fisichella on his debut for Minardi outqualifies his much more experienced teammate Martini. The Bernardis line up 21st and 22nd. The second Ligier of Bernard, he's been signed up for the next season, this season, and he qualifies down in 23rd place. Morbidelli in 24th. The two Simtex just managed to get through 25th and 26th place, and that means that both Larousse and both 40 cars are out and do not take part in the race on Sunday. So let's have a look at the track. It's the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, and we have 71 laps ahead of us. It is dry for the duration of the race, and the three main overtaking zones, or action zones as it's called here, is down into turn 1, heavy braking zone slightly downhill, turn 4 at the end of the long straight called the Retta Aposta, and turn 10 is a hairpin, very slow speed corner, and you can easily slide your car up the inside. Difficulty of this track overall is quite easy. The overtaking moderately difficult, as I say, there's only a few overtaking opportunities, and the speed overall of this track is high. And a quick look at the driver strategies for the Streamline boys. Mika Salo going for a 2-stop, and so is Zomba Reith. Mika Salo going to pit on lap 21 and 46, and Reith slightly differently on lap 20 and 42. Well, there's only one more thing to do, and that's go racing. The 1995 Brazilian Grand Prix is next. Well, the first lap has come and gone, and what a crazy start it is as we're diving out the way of more cars. We've gained a couple positions, well, 4 positions. We're actually up to 8th place, so 5 positions. It was a crazy start. There was John Alesi spinning into the first corner. I think Martin Brundle had a half spin. Drivers trying to avoid contact. Some drivers could not avoid contact. Heavy damage sustained for a number of vehicles, but we cut across the grass there at turn 1 and 2 to avoid carnage and avoid picking up any damage. And we're already up to 8th place. I think Zomba Reith lost out a bit and is down in about 15th to 16th place. And look at this, the Sauber of Kaya Mahendra, my old teammate, in front of me in 7th place. 7th and 8th place for the ex-teammates. And 8th place for a Streamline Engineering car this early on in a race is absolutely crazy, unthinkable really. But we've already had a few of the front runners coming into contact with each other, running over each other, and that's actually allowed us to gain positions. Maybe there's an outside shot at points today. And here is the start from the leader's perspective. Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen getting away pretty equally, but Häkkinen has the inside line into the first corner, challenging the Benetton of Schumacher. They go side by side through turns 1 and 2, with 3rd place David Coulthard and the 2nd Benetton holding station there as Martin Brundle makes a mistake through turn 1, which I think led to John Alesi's instant retirement. But down the back straight, the Retta Aposta down towards turn 4, Mika Häkkinen cannot challenge Michael Schumacher, and Schumacher with a great start to this Grand Prix. This is what happened to Alesi, the Ferrari into the first corner, spinning, clipping the wall on the inside, then getting collected by the drivers behind him, and he is definitely out of this Grand Prix. Schumacher already got a good gap back to 2nd place Mika Häkkinen. We're on lap 2 now, and Häkkinen slowing down. Oh, there's an engine failure there. Häkkinen on the 2nd lap of the race is out of this Grand Prix. McLaren's pace advantage over Williams is cut short by the poor reliability. Barrichello is missing a front wing, and it's causing carnage behind as Fisichella, making his debut for Minardi, crashes straight into the back of Panis, and that will result in Panis' retirement. Fisichella, as I said, making his debut. That's not the best first impression. On to lap 4, and it's our first mistake of the year. Round turn 6, I believe it is, or turn 7. We run wide across the gravel, can't slow the car down into the wall. Surprisingly, no damage sustained. We saw the carnage into the first corner. Drivers just tapping each other, losing wings and wheels and whatnot. And we just clambered into the wall there quite hard and no damage sustained, so we got very, very lucky there. But we have lost a position to the Lotus of Alessandro Zanardi. In real life, Pacific took control of Lotus for 1995, but of course, at CustomF1 is anything but real life. Lotus still have full control of their team, and just the livery is slightly different. If we can close up to Zanardi, maybe we can see, get a better glimpse of the new livery. And here we are on lap 10 of this Grand Prix. We're currently looking at Kaya Mahendra, who is up in 6th place in his debut for Sauber. Michael Schumacher leads the way with his teammate Coulthard in 2nd, next to two Williams of Senna and Hill in 3rd and 4th. Martin Brundle, who is slow in this first stint, is clearly on a one-stop strategy down in 5th place. Sadly, his teammate Hakkinen is already out of this race, and Zanardi doing very well for Lotus. He's already gained about 10 places, 11 places this race so far in only the first 10 laps, and he's currently just sitting outside the points. Now on to lap 10, and we're all over the back of Zanardi. He's had a higher top speed down the main straight, but we've had much better acceleration with our brand new Ferrari engine, and we're trying it round the outside there of turn 10. It's not going to work, but we get a switchback. Zanardi goes deep. That's a brilliant move to move us up into 7th place. Mahendra right now is on to score his first ever points, and Mika Salo, who we are of course driving as Mika Salo, we want to get in on the action. We want to get up into the top 6 and score some points as well. The Lotus of Zanardi was running in an 8th place, but he's stuck in gear, and that means he's out of this Grand Prix. We are already 20 laps through this Grand Prix. Schumacher and Coulthard, it's a Benetton 1-2, Williams 3 and 4. We're currently looking at another debutant today, the Minardi of Giancarlo Fisichella, who's had an absolutely brilliant start to this Grand Prix. He's currently in 9th place. It's crazy to see, due to the Ferraris tripping over each other and one of the McLarens being out of the race, how this has opened up the grid to potentially lower teams to score some points today. On to lap 21, we've been running quite a boring race since we overtook Zanardi on lap 10 or 11, and Senna's into the pits ahead of me as well, but we're not going to overtake the reigning world champion, 4-time world champion now, Ayrton Senna. Hopefully for him, he's going to try and retain his championship this season, but based on Williams' performance in qualifying at least, they're nowhere near Benetton or even McLaren. McLaren seem to be ahead of Williams now as well. As we've been serviced, we've put in 25 laps worth of fuel, and we are going to rejoin just outside the top 10, I believe. Mark Blundell in the other Lotus is going to overtake us, so we're going to have to overtake another Lotus to climb back up the field. We've already overtaken Zanardi before his unfortunate retirement. This time around, we've got his teammate Mark Blundell. It's lap 25, and race leader Michael Schumacher is into the pits. Damon Hill is currently in 2nd place, and he is yet to actually stop. And he's staying out for another lap. He might be able to jump Michael Schumacher here while Schumacher is in the pits and take the race lead for at least the time being. There goes Hill across the start-finish line. Whereabouts is Schumacher? The German is rejoining the track just about now. This is going to be very close between the two championship rivals. Schumacher just ahead of Damon Hill and holds on to the race lead. I'm going to try the same move on Blundell that I tried on his teammate Zanardi a handful of laps ago, but it's not going to work. Or will it? We're going to get that cutback once again. Blundell goes slightly deep, but he manages to hold on to the position for now. As he's losing a bit of grip, I think he's on quite worn tyres. He's been on them since the start of the race. But you'll see here, as we go up the hill, our acceleration is better than the Lotus. But as we start reaching 6th gear, the top gear in this car, we seem to just lose a bit on straight line speed. I think that's more down to the chassis rather than our actual Ferrari engine, because the Ferrari engine is very, very capable. Well, 2nd time's a charm. Can we pull off the move this time? We're thinking up the inside. He defends the inside, Blundell, and we go around the outside, almost losing the car, tapping the grass on the left-hand side. And we still manage to stay behind Blundell, who slows down on the apex of the following corner due to his worn tyres. I almost spin my car around, but luckily no damage is done. Okay, 3rd time's a charm. Definitely 3rd time. We're going to try up the inside this time. It's going to be very late on the brakes. Just about get the car slowed down and turned in, and we just about keep it on track as well. That's Blundell disposed of, and we're up to 8th place. Heinz Howard Frentzen, who I think is on a one-stop strategy, is 9 seconds up the road. approaching half race distance now. It's lap 30, and we are looking at the standings as well as yet another debutant today. This is Ralf Schumacher, the brother of Michael Schumacher, who's currently leading the race, and Ralf Schumacher down in 20th place for the Footwork team. A solid start to his career in Formula 1, I'd say. Damon Hill just about in 5th place, his teammate Ayrton Senna in 4th. The Williams pair not looking too strong compared to the Benettons. Driving around in 4th place is not what the reigning world champion wanted, and it's about to get much worse as suspension failure sees Senna stop on track. One driver just misses him, Damon Hill, but Roland Ratzenberger full speed into the back of the Williams. Both drivers out of the race on the spot. Here we are about halfway through the race. Frenzen's been into the pits. I'm up into 6th place. That's a net 6th place. This race has just been absolutely crazy. On paper, I think the Streamline's maybe the 6th or 7th fastest car at this circuit. So if everybody was still in the race and running their proper race with no incidents, we'd be down in the mid-pack between 11th and maybe 14th, 15th place. But because of all the incidents, especially to the front runners, Senna, both Ferraris, they're all out of the race. Well, I think Gerhard Berger's still in the race, but he's well down the field. We're up in 6th place. We could score points. And it's a double retirement for Simtech. They qualified 25th and 26th, the final 2 grid slots to start this Grand Prix, and they're both out just before the halfway distance. Past the halfway point in this Grand Prix now. Sarlo into the points for Streamline Engineering, crazy, and Minardi having a brilliant race in 7th and 8th. So it's Streamline 6th and 9th, and then Minardi sandwiched between in 7th and 8th place. We're currently looking at the Lotus, the sole Lotus left in this Grand Prix, of Mark Blundell. Lotus with a new main sponsor on the side there of Miller Beer, which is the red logo on the side, on that white side of the side pod, as you can see, sponsored by Mobile One as well. Right now, Mark Blundell not doing too bad in 13th. We've seen Hakkinen, Senna and Ratzenberger all retire at this part of the track, and it's going to happen to Martini as well. It looks like to be suspension failure for the Minardi on lap 42. He's out of this Grand Prix. We're just all on our own on this track. Mahendra's been in for his second and I assume final stop, and he's still 5 seconds ahead of me. And here I am coming into the pits for my final stop. Fisichella, who's making his debut today for Minardi, is behind me in 7th place, albeit 30 seconds behind. As we're into the pits, it seems the race leader Michael Schumacher is in on the same lap as well, as the Benetton crew are out in the pits. Of course, that could be for his teammate David Coulthard. No, I think it is Michael Schumacher who's just gone across the line to complete 47 laps. So we're almost 1 lap down, which isn't too bad, considering we're usually, well, I think this time last season we were 4 laps down, 5 laps down at the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix. And we're going to rejoin, still in the points, 6th place. All we need to do is finish this final stint and we'll score our first ever points, not only for Mika Salo, but for Streamline Engineering. Schumacher in for his second and final stop on the end of lap 46, and his nearest rival is about a minute behind. Nobody is troubling Schumacher today, only reliability or a mistake can halt his progress. We are into the final knockings of this Grand Prix now, just over 20 laps to go. Schumacher still dominantly in front. Martin Brundle, who's on that one-stop strategy, is doing brilliantly. He's actually in 2nd place, holding up Coulthard and Hill. Mahendra only a few seconds behind that gaggle of cars. He's in 5th place. Sarlo still in the points in 6th. And this is the recovering Gerhard Berger, who's only managed to make it up to 17th place. A terrible opening race for Ferrari. Lap 56, and Bernard, the only Ligier left in the race, well, he was the only Ligier left in the race. He is now going to retire from this Grand Prix after running a very lonely mid-pack Grand Prix so far. Ferrari aren't the only team having a bad performance today. Jordan, who in qualifying got both of their cars into the top 10, are currently all the way down in 15th and 14th and 15th place. 14th place going to the driver that's just gone off the track there, Rubens Barrichello, who's not the home favourite. That'll be Ayrton Senna, who's already out the race, but he's the one of the remaining Brazilian drivers in the Grand Prix, and it's not looking too good for him right now. Lap 64, only a few laps to go, and Reith right now is defending hard from Gerhard Berger in the battle for about 11th or 12th position. But sadly for the Streamline Engineering driver, it's going to come all undone as he pulls over to the side of the track to retire the car. My teammate Reith has been really unlucky today. He got caught out at the start and lost a few positions, was working his way back up the field. I think he got up to about 8th place at one point. And that retirement, with only a handful of laps to go, has stripped him of maybe a top 10 finish on his debut for Streamline Engineering. But right now we only have 5 laps to go and we're sitting pretty in 6th place. Michael Schumacher has been absolutely dominant today. Nobody to challenge him. Maybe his closest rival would have been Mika Häkkinen, but Häkkinen suffering engine failure on only the 2nd lap. It doesn't matter for the German of Schumacher, who crosses the line to win the 1995 Brazilian Grand Prix and kick off this campaign in style. Well, it's our 17th race as a team, and finally we are going to score some points. We got close at the Italian Grand Prix last season, but here at the 1995 Brazilian Grand Prix we finished in 6th place, and because it's the opening race of the season, I think Streamline Engineering are now in 6th position or 5th position in the Constructors, and Mika Salo's 6th place in the Drivers' Championship. On to the race results then, and Michael Schumacher claims a victory today, and he leads the World Championship. Martin Brundle, 2nd place, and that's the 2nd podium in a row for Brundle, because of course he finished, I think, 3rd in the Australian Grand Prix at the end of 1994. David Coulthard on his debut in Formula 1 makes it onto the podium as well. Brilliant by the Scotsman. Damon Hill down in 4th place, the only Williams to score points, and Kai Mahendra scores his first ever points in Formula 1 and his first points for Sauber, and Mika Salo scores his first ever points in Formula 1 with a brilliant 6th place finish. Heinz-Harald Frentzen on a one-stop strategy didn't quite work out, down in 7th place. Ukyo Katayama and Jos Verstappen, the two Tyrrells, in the top 10 at the end of the race, with Mark Blundell making it a Lotus inside the top 10 as well. And in 11th place, Gerhard Berger, Rubens Barrichello and Eddie Irvine, the Jordans, really disappointing in the race. Ralf Schumacher on his debut finishes in 14th, and Fisichella on his debut in 15th place, in the first driver to have retired. Zomba Reith, heartbreak for the Streamline Engineering driver, retiring on, well, with not many laps to go, and finishing down in 16th place. Eric Bernard 17th, Morbidelli, Martini and Jean-Marc Gounon rounding out the top 20. And finally, a look at the bottom of the grid. Senna had that suspension failure and collected Ratzenberger. That's why Ratzenberger's down as a collision. Zanardi's gearbox gave way quite early on in the race. Olivier Panis had that collision while somebody driving into the back of him. Mika Häkkinen's engine went on lap 2. He was an outside shot at the win today, battling away with Michael Schumacher, and John Alesi retired at the first corner on the opening lap. Of course, the race winner, Michael Schumacher, setting the fastest lap of the race, 1/10 quicker than his pole time in qualifying. The Drivers' Championship, of course, is identical to the race result, so we're just going to quickly look at this. Of course, there was quite a few debutants today, and of course the drivers who did not qualify down at the bottom. A quick team update then. The morale of Mika Salo is beaming. It's right at the top of the possible range. Zomba Reith would have been up there as well if he had finished the race, but sadly he did not. The team finances are actually looking pretty good. We were losing money throughout last season. A bit of cash has been injected due to our deal with Ferrari, and due to all the changes in sponsors as well, we're actually gaining around about 15,000 per race. The next race is the Argentine Grand Prix. It's our first visit to this track for a number of years. It was supposed to be on the 1994 calendar, but it did not go ahead. It has made it onto the 1995 calendar, however, and the drama will continue when that race is released. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you have enjoyed, make sure to share this video around. Let's see how many people we can get watching this series, and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like and comment down below, and join the Discord server while you're at it. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.